Hi, in finishing up this class, there's a few things that I want to show you. They're not part of any of the assignments, they're not on the syllabus, but I just want you to have a sense of what Illustrator is capable of, and you may or may not do any of these things, or you may be doing something different, but just in the back of your mind, knowing that there's so much that this tool can do will help you dig deeper into the program. One of the things I want to make sure you're aware of is in Illustrator, as with all the Adobe programs, there are preferences, and the preferences are something that you set that are global for the program. So under General, I want to make sure you know that you can scale strokes and effects. So sometimes you want this clicked, sometimes you don't. I generally want it clicked, so I'm going to click it right now. And what that means is if I zoom out of here for a moment. If I draw this box and I put a stroke on it of, say, 7 points, you can see that stroke there. And so then if I zoom this, make this shrink this way down, notice how the thickness of that line also changed, where if I don't have that button selected, and I scale this box down, see how the thickness of that line stays the same? So this is, sometimes you may want that to happen, sometimes you don't. More often than not, you don't, because you might be taking a logo and you want to shrink it down and you want the lines to become thick. But anything that you're running across that you just keep finding, sorry, the cat's needing to move around here, that you need to adjust, check in the preferences. So, guides and grid lines, one of the things that we've talked about is generally we are used to viewing units and inches, and so different programs might open up in points and picas, for example. Okay, so there's that. The other thing I want to show you is, so we've got this logo. I worked on this logo with the team of folks, and there's many different layers to what we eventually came up with. So this typeface had to be, the right typeface had to be picked. And then as I pull this apart, you see there's this outline with it that has this gradation on it. And then there's each individual letter. And then each letter also has this, this drop shadow with it. Okay, so that's just the Metro part. This was even more complicated. So it's all locked together here. If I hit the direct selection tool, you can see that the type is selected as outline. And there's this shape here. And see, when I move it around, it doesn't affect it because it's not just drawing of the shape. There's actually sort of a clipping path in there that is managing that gradation. So there's that going on. I don't even remember what exactly was used with this program. There were so many different layers of managing things on here that it's, the cat's just distracting me. Sorry, he's hitting everything on the desk. Let me try to get rid of him. Hopefully he doesn't come back. That in the end, one thing that we couldn't get to work is there's this shape here. Let me show you. See all of these negative areas? They're actually shapes that were put in there because we just couldn't get it to have that the clipping path work with that. So there's workarounds. You just have to be clever and think about what it is that you need and want to do. So I'm going to show you some other aspects of this project. So here were some walls, and these are, I work in exhibits, so this was a children's climbing structure, these little rock wall here, and we had these graphics here, and this typography had to be done. And when I zoom in here, this is not just a simple drop shadow. You see, it's actually an extruded letter. And then this here, I'm going to zoom into this sign here. This is also an extruded level. Okay, so I'm going to, I have this type on these pages. I'm going to show you different things about this. So one is I can take this S, and this S was done with the typeface Smash. So I'm going to copy this and paste it. It's a really great, fun typeface. And there is a version of this typeface. My box is too big here. That has a shadow to it. So let me show you. It's called Open Regular. So when I click on this, you can see that it's got the shape and an outline and then this drop shadow behind it. And that's all part of that letter. Okay, so what we ended up with is a little bit different here. So this is not just a version of this. You can see the outline on this is going to the left and ours went to the right, and it's a bit of a different extrusion here. And so this type here is actually this letter that then has a graphic style. So here's a graphic style. So the way to get a graphic style, once you get the style, which I'll go into in a minute, is you can go and drop it right onto here. So that graphic style is there, and I have done the same with that purple letter. So if I take this and I select this, it has taken that graphic style and adapted it. So it's sort of like using the eyedropper, but it does more than the eyedropper does. The eyedropper doesn't do this. There's too many steps and layers involved in that. And so the same thing with this, I can go and pick that and it's done this step here. But now let me show you, this type here does look different than this. Look how long that extrusion is, and that outline is much thicker. And the reason why that's so much thicker is because it's a smaller letter. So when I enlarge this, you can see that the thickness of this line and the depth of that extrusion has been adapted for the size. So this particular style, it doesn't scale, okay? This is a slightly different typeface than this one. I forget what this one was called now. But you see, so it doesn't matter what typeface is. It's just looking at it as a different technique that you can use. Okay, so down here, I have this text, which some of it may have been done. Right, this is smashed open regular. So this is a smashed open regular, right? So let me, and then this was the one that was regular that had the technique on it. So what we have here is all of this text was used by creating an extrusion and then using the graphic style. When we were working on this project, I was actually in favor of not getting this look as much as we'd like to and just using the typeface, because it can be so complicated creating these different styles, and you want to make sure that they scale correctly and all of that sort of thing. But in the end, there wasn't that much type in this project that was special, so we created a style. So now how do you do that? So here I have this sample of this Make the Music. So I'm going to take some words here. Make music. And I am going to show you that I'm going to make it in regular smashed, okay? So now I take this text and I go up to Effects and I go to 3D, Extrude and Bevel. And so what happens is this window opens and I get all of these different, try to move that box. It's gone and done this work to it. And so I can go in and move this around, and I can go and change the angles of these things. And then let me change this type color here. I'm going to select and say, okay, go in here and change this color for a moment so you can see what's really happening. So when it was all black, it was hard to see, but so you can see how I've played with this extrusion. So now that I've already gone and played with it, I can't actually just go and open up this and make changes to it again. See, it's saying, do you want to apply a new effect? No, I don't. What I want to do is go to the menu that is the effects menu. I've got so many. The appearance, okay? So let me pull out the appearance menu. So the appearance menu is what this is showing me. So when I click on this, you see it's showing me what's going on, and I click this right here, this FX, and that brings me back to that extrusion, and it brings me back to this. So once I've already messed with it, I need to go into appearances and go and access it. Otherwise, it's going to put an effect on top of an effect. So, you know, when I play with this stuff, I don't really necessarily know what I'm going to get. See how that makes the extrusion depth so much greater, right? So you can play with that. You can rotate it. And sometimes I just get so lost in this and what's going to happen and where it's going to end up. It's really an experiment. Which is why when you get it the way you want it to be, you want to go and put it into graphic styles. So say I really love this, then I would drag it into my graphic styles. And then when I create a new letter, I can go and give it that graphic style. Except it somehow didn't work this time. It worked all the other times. And then when I go and give a demo, it doesn't work. But let me grab this graphic style. You can see how that is, and I can select this other one, which was the one we were using there. There's some wild graphic styles that you can paste into something as well. So if you wanted to do a gradation or a pattern, you can also use graphic styles to play with that. So this graphic style would have been taking several different patterns and playing with the opacity and then dragging it into the graphic style. So you can see it's really a great tool. So what you're using is you're using graphic styles, the effects with 3D extrusion, and then you are altering it with appearance. I'm going to put this on hold for a minute because I'm going to bring this back to what we've been doing with the grid. Okay, so you see I went back to our grid and I have this text that I've placed here. So pretend that we haven't got this whole city here, that I've just opened up a grid, because you can create a blank page and start with a new grid. But since we have this going here, so I have, I want to put this in this sort of grid here, the blue line. So I select my, what is this tool called all of a sudden? Perspective selection tool. And I select the blue side. And so then when I drag this text over here, see the way it goes up against that right there? So I can go in and put that in there with the tool, and I do want it to be bigger than this. So as I'm holding down the shift key so it doesn't distort it as I enlarge it there. So there we go. We've got this text. I should have not had this building on here. But anyway, you can see how that can really work. And then I'm going to paste this text again. So I've got this text. So if let me turn this off. Sorry, I didn't mean to make that happen quite that way. Let me unclick this. Let me go here. Let me paste this, and I can grab it. I can use the perspective tool, and here I've got the green, and then I can go and put it down here, and holding onto the shift key, you can see that I can drag that and make it bigger and give it this really funky look to it. So you can use this tool to further dramatize your text and play with it. Okay? Hopefully this is helpful to you, and you can use your text this way on this project as well. Take care.